最高だぜ。
This is not a crossover between The Matrix and The Road Ends With You. It's a good but not amazing sequel to the 2007 Nintendo DS cult classic. The Road Ends With You was one of my favorite experiences on the Nintendo DS. That game made excellent use of every feature in the device, and the HD releases of it never captured what made the original gameplay so interesting. This follow-up takes place 3 years after the end of the first game, and improves in some ways, under-delivers in a couple. A new Reaper's game is taking place in Shibuya Underground, which is how this game calls the Afterlife, and a whole new cast of characters get dragged into it. Rindo and his friends are given 1 week to reach the top of the team rankings if they want the game to end and their lives to return back to normal. But they quickly find out they're seriously outnumbered compared to the other teams, or seriously outdone by the insurmountable power of the Runebringers, the number 1 team. Some of the characters of the previous game end up returning, but I made sure to only use footage prior to the review of any of them. Well, except this guy right here. Sho Minamimoto is a fan favorite and he's introduced very early. For some reason he seems to be siding with your team, and he's evidently no longer a Reaper like he was in the first game. Reapers are supposed to be assistants to the game master, making sure players are not doing anything that disrupts the game more than they should, giving them missions to complete, and generally monitor the game. Players have to use the power of pins to survive and score points. But some of them also have supernatural powers given to them the moment they receive their unique player pins. While all players have the ability to imprint ideas into the minds of non-players, some like Rindo have some more unique powers. And your team needs to use those powers to manipulate the outcome of each day to their advantage or get out of danger. The rest of the pins can be freely equipped to any character, but the game imposes some restrictions like not letting you use more than 1 pin that uses the same button. Each character uses their 1 button pin during battles, and every pin can be used only so many times until they are on a short cooldown. Every pin can execute a finisher that triggers a beatdown gauge. If the next character times their own attack with this, your groove meter goes up, and when the groove reaches at least 100%, you can use a powerful limit break style move and boost everyone's damage for a while. This might sound incredibly simple and maybe boring, but there is more depth than you think thanks to the sheer amount and variety of pins, each with unique animations, elements, range, and effects. Not to mention your party grows as you progress in the story, give you more slots to assign more pins. Without spoiling who else joins, I'll just say your party is not limited to 4 characters. So make sure you practice those beatdowns and learn what pins synergize well. It gets harder to master that stuff in the final stretch of the game. Characters you're not controlling will automatically dodge enemy attacks, but anytime you use pins, characters equipped with it become vulnerable and you have to make them dodge attacks manually. So you need to be aware of where everyone is and telegraph the incoming noise attacks. Each character has their own HP stat, but in battle everyone's HP gets put together in a combined team HP gauge. The equipment in this game is called threads. The more obvious effects are seeing your HP, attack and defense stats, but their abilities are actually what you should focus on. Some abilities will greatly benefit certain kinds of pins, so make sure you read what they do before putting on clothes that give you some measly 10 extra points in a stat or something. Get those mad fresh threads, yo! Totally rad, dude! Gotta look bougie, super fly, the bomb! At least one of those slangs should be accurate. I enjoyed the combat a lot more here than in the first game, but the target lock-on feature is just as awful here as it was in Kingdom Hearts 3. Anytime there are more than 3 enemies and I want to focus on targeting the more dangerous noise first, the game often ignores where I'm trying to move the cursor, and it can make some of the encounters incredibly annoying. Encounters not thrown at you by the story can be avoided entirely, but you want to make sure you can do some extra fights ever so often. because leveling up in this game is nearly useless by itself. Instead, you eat food which permanently increases your stats, then fight noise to deplete your food energy so you can eat more. If you slack off on this, the final third of the game becomes very exhausting. When not fighting, you're going to see a lot of character dialogue. It doesn't quite reach Persona levels, but it's enough that I strongly advise you don't try to marathon this game. Thankfully, some of the dialogue is voiced. I can't speak for the US voice acting, but the Japanese audio is incredibly well done.
はい、おめでとう。
ああ、死神の
翔歌。
そうそう、翔歌ちゃん。
ターゲットが倒されたから今日は終了。最下位は免れてるかな。
おお。
初登場のくせにまあまあじゃん。ノイズに瞬殺されると思ったの。
それはどうも。
The downside of using the Japanese audio is that I'm able to pick enough sentences and words that I could tell how much freedom the localization team took with the characterization of some of the cast. Thankfully, enough of this very likable cast of characters was spared of those drastic changes that I was able to enjoy the story overall. But it definitely doesn't hit as hard as the first game. This is half an encore and half an excuse to give some final resolution to characters introduced in the first game. It starts off nicely, gets pretty dull in the middle, then becomes a lot more engaging in the final third. That said, this game is not paced well at all. It's at least 20 hours longer than the first, but it really should have been 5 hours longer at best. A lot of the bad pacing has to do with Rindo's time travel ability. By the time the credits roll, even the characters I thought I would dislike turned out to be nicely done. I can't remember the last time a game made me feel that way. This is what kept my interest in doing the more boring parts. Teen Pin Slammer did not return, and I'm really thankful it didn't. Instead, there are a few days where you do a score attack type of thing, which encourages chaining as many noise symbols and rival teams together as possible, and mastering your beatdown timers to net enough points to unlock rewards.
落ち着いていこう。そこだ。よくとよりマシか。順調だな。まあ見てて。よくとよりマシか。俺？消えろ。よし。
Nothing in this game is truly missable since you can revisit previous days without losing your progress in the current day. But for whatever reason they made it so you have to complete that entire revisiting day in order to keep any of the things you got in that revisit. And just like in Persona games, the vast majority of dialogue events can't be outright skipped. You only do a fast forward thing. Are dialogue skips really that hard to program? Sheesh. Most days have some side quests to complete which aren't super engaging, but at least they're done with quickly. And some rare noise to find and defeat as well. Both the NPCs you help with side quests and main story characters allow you to unlock passive skills and features in your social network menu. Some of those features let you earn more money, lose less HP when decreasing your level for higher drop rates, the ability to use more upper pins, or even the ability to dash to the rhythm of music while you're moving around Shibuya. The music in this game is amazing, and I dare say better than the tracks in the first game. They're worth listening to even if you don't care about the game at all. The art direction, in my opinion, is also a substantial improvement. I like the designs of almost every character in this, except the NPCs. They look like Pokemon Go avatars. Tetsuya Nomura designed many of the characters, but he wasn't the only one. There were actually 3 different character designers dividing the work across groups of characters. They tried to blend their styles together, but you can definitely tell a few of the ones designed by Nomura. I mean, if someone told me Shoka was really just a younger version of Gaia, I wouldn't try to say no. Even their characterization is similar, if you ignore the English localization anyway. And wouldn't you know it, this game was directed by none other than Hiroyuki Ito, who is someone I mention often in my Final Fantasy reviews. He's the original creator of the A to B system. Overall, I enjoyed my time with this game and thought it was a solid closure to the series. If they never do another entry again, I wouldn't be mad. But the fact this game sold poorly is still really weird to me. Supposedly, Square Enix spent all their marketing budget trying to sell the game in Japan. Even though that country seems to hate Tetsuya Nomura for some reason, they should have marketed in the West, which is where the first game found some success. If you like what you see here, definitely buy the game. I think it deserves more sales. I'd rather Nomura produce more original IPs like this one instead of more Kingdom Hearts sequels and Final Fantasy content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.